In this video, we learn how to kayak launch La Jolla shores so you don't get rolled. Let's go. Hey, it's Castro. Welcome back to the channel. It's good to have you here. If it's your first time here and you're in the process of learning to kayak fish La Jolla, consider subscribing. Click that bell notification so you don't miss anything. Okay, let's get into it. I'm going to give you some advice on how to launch at La Jolla shores. But first, we're going to review these 3 launches that I recorded with the drone so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. I'll be doing a voiceover explaining what's going on and things you should be noticing. Okay, here we go. Here's the first of the launches that I'm going to be showing you today. I am watching her launch from shore, and I'm also flying the drone to get a better view of what's going on while she's out there. So here's Miss Yakfisher Diana launching at La Jolla shores. Here we go. So first off, she's taking her kayak in. When the wave hits her, she's about waist deep, a little bit under waist deep. So she's getting hit with a good amount of force at that point. And it's not really giving her a chance to jump on the kayak, which is what she should be doing. Should be jumping on the kayak and paddling, because you want to have momentum when you hit that first big wave. And if you walk the kayak in there and then get on, then you're starting from a complete stop. So it's difficult to gain momentum to overcome the momentum of the wave hitting you. Also, she entered the water right where the waves were breaking. So she came back out, offered some advice for her to go a little bit more south. So she's not right in the middle of the break zone. She's a little bit to the side of the break zone where the waves are a little bit more tame. And that combined with getting on her kayak earlier, she was able to get out successfully on her next attempt. Okay, now let's move on to our second launch. This is Gabe. He is at Plastic Ponga on Instagram. Go say what's up. So here's Gabe. He's gonna walk his kayak into the surf. But notice how he gets on his kayak pretty much as soon as it's floating. Right? So look, he's paddling through these small breakers. All right? But he has that forward momentum. He's already building that momentum. See right there? He's got that forward momentum. He's paddling, he's paddling. He made it over that wave just fine, and he's got that forward momentum. You can see. When the wave hits him, it's going to stop most of that forward momentum, and he's got to, see how it pushed him back even. But if he had 0 momentum, it would have taken him with him. So he's got to keep paddling. He's got to paddle as hard as he can so he can get back to perpendicular. He wants to hit the wave like a T. He wants to get back to perpendicular and build that momentum up so by the time the next wave hits, it doesn't push him back as far, right? It pushed him back a little bit, but he's still going to be able to make up that ground because he's still paddling, right? If you stop paddling to reassess like what got knocked off your kayak or just to appreciate the impact, the power of the wave, you're going to get smashed on the next wave. So here he makes it out and he's in the safe zone, right? So let's talk about that for a second. So I was kind of explaining it as it was happening, but just to make sure you understand what's happening here, Gabe got on his kayak as soon as it was floating so that you could start to build that forward momentum with the kayak through the small breakers. And by the time he gets to a significant wave, he's got enough forward momentum that it overcomes or almost overcomes the force of the wave hitting the front of the kayak, right? You want to have the front of the kayak pointed right into the surf because that's going to be the least surface area that the wave's going to hit, right? So if the wave's coming this way, what's this? The wave's coming this way, and the kayak's coming up like a T, then it's got very little surface area to push against. If you're sideways, it's going to push you sideways, it's going to take you with it, okay? So that's a big key. Right away, start paddling and point your kayak right into the surf so you got a perpendicular T so you can cut through the wave. It has less surface area to push against, and therefore you'll lose less momentum, right? You're going to lose momentum and you're going to even get pushed back a little bit, but instead of like freaking out and wondering what's going to happen next, just keep paddling, because if you keep paddling, you'll get to build a little bit more momentum before that next wave, right? The worst thing that can happen is you get hit by the first wave, you stop paddling, and it's like you're trying to figure out what's happening, trying to get back coordinated or get back into like the orientation, and then the next wave hits you. When that next wave hits you, you have zero momentum, and worse, you might already be a little bit sideways. That's when it picks you up and takes you back to shore, and you get rolled, and it's not pretty, right? So remember, hit that first wave with momentum, and as soon as you hit that wave, keep paddling through the wave. Even when you see the face of the wave coming up in front of you, just keep paddling, because the more momentum you have as you're hitting it, the better chance you have of getting over it. And then once you get over it, as soon as you're over it, just keep paddling, right? Because the next wave is coming up. Okay, so that's the wrap up for this second launch video. Now we're going to get into my launch video, which I admit is kind of cheating because I watched them launch. I watched a bunch of other people launch, both from shore and through the drone. So as I was watching them and filming them, I was kind of trying to make notes, mental notes, and pick up what would make my launch more successful. So here's me launching. I went ahead and flew up the drone, and I set it up where I thought I was going to be. And then I put away the controller in the hatch, jumped on the kayak, and let's walk through this now. Here's the launch. I am about ankle to knee deep in water, just enough that the kayak is floating. I can see the sand when I look over the side. My paddle might even be hitting the sand at this point. I want to build as much momentum as possible before I hit the first big wave. Going over the first couple of foamers. Here comes the first significant wave. It's not so bad. I'm still kind of gaining on it. This is a kind of significant one. There it goes. I'm still kind of going to have forward momentum. See how the waves are breaking kind of like on the sides of me, and that centerpiece is not so bad. Here's a big wave. Here comes a big wave. This one goes completely over the front, all the way to my chest. But I keep paddling, okay? You gotta keep paddling because the next wave is coming up. And even though it went completely over my bow and hit me like in the chest, it didn't push me back as much as it would have if I wasn't paddling the whole way, right? Make it past the second wave, and I'm paddling, and there you go. I'm past the surf. That is, again, I watched the surf, I watched other people launch, and then I figured, here's the best way that I can think of doing it for this situation. So I'm sure it changes when the waves are a lot bigger. You have to be more aware of where the waves are breaking and where you could kind of come in. Okay, so with the information I learned by watching these other guys launch, I was able to get out successfully and not get destroyed by these waves. Ultimately, what it comes down to is building up enough momentum to overcome the momentum of the wave you're about to crash into, and maximizing your chances by reducing the surface area that's facing towards the wave so it doesn't have anything to push against, right? You want to stay right pointed at the wave. You want to keep paddling throughout the whole cycle of the wave hitting you and you going over the wave. And as soon as you go over the wave, instead of like sitting around and looking surprised like you made it, you should be paddling. Paddle the whole way until you're completely outside the surf zone, and then you'll be okay. All right, so before we talk about landing, now would be a good time to hit that subscribe button and click that bell notification if you're enjoying the content so far. Next, we're going to talk about landing, and this is kind of where people get afraid. Getting out is a little bit easier than coming back in and not getting rolled, right? Because now the wave's coming from behind. If it catches you, it's going to basically tear you up. Roll your kayak, lose a bunch of gear. So it goes without saying, for the launch and the landing, you should have already stowed all your stuff, tied everything down, anything you don't want to lose anyway, right? So for landing, I don't like dealing with the stress of wondering if I'm going to get rolled or not. I'm just not that good yet. So for peace of mind, I take a change of clothes that I can be in the water with. So I'll take my everything and I'll stow it and I'll tie everything down. I'll change into some board shorts, and then I'll put all my dry clothes in my dry bag, and then I get ready to land. And then once I land, here's my principles. First, I'm going to show you me landing on this session, and then we'll come back and talk about it in a second. I put my dry clothes in the hatch, and I'm wearing just board shorts now so I can try to land this kayak without getting rolled. If I feel like I'm going to get rolled, I'm going to just jump out. But it looks pretty calm, so it should be okay. So So I'm on the kayak, I feel the momentum of the little wave start to pick up. You see the kayak start to tilt. So I jump the opposite way and hang onto the kayak. I missed the floor a little bit. I thought it was a little bit more shallow, so I kind of dipped forward a little bit, but it was okay because I was holding onto the kayak. And then basically at that point, both of your feet are on the sand, the kayak is in front of you, you're facing the beach, the waves are crashing behind you.
Never underestimate nature, people.
On this day, the surf wasn't so big, so it was pretty forgiving. But even then, towards when you get shallow, the wave, even if it's a small wave, it could take your kayak and flip it. And at that point, you're out of control, and I don't like that feeling. So I was ready to jump out of the kayak. And when you jump out of the kayak, you gotta make sure you jump between the kayak and the surf. Okay, don't jump between the kayak and the sand, because then if the wave is big enough or the surf is big enough, it'll push the kayak into you and smash you and break your face, and all kinds of bad stuff can happen. You're basically just controlling your walk out to the shallow. And when you're doing that, you want to be extra careful that you don't step on a stingray. So as you're walking the kayak out of the surf, make sure you shuffle your feet, because even though you made it through the launch and the landing, you still have to make it home in one piece and don't want to get stung right at the end of your day. So may you have a successful and dry launch and landing on your next La Jolla outing. I'm not that experienced with fishing La Jolla, as evident from this last session. The reason why I had to do a how to get in and out of La Jolla fishing video was because on this particular session I got skunked. I was not prepared. I didn't take a bait tank. I didn't take heavier duty fishing gear, and I didn't take my sonar. So I did bring my radio and my life vest and some fishing things, some artificial lures like I used to fish in the bay. But needless to say, I was totally unprepared for the experience. So I'm going to be making more videos on fishing La Jolla, and I will be doing it the right way. I'm basically going to be documenting the process of me learning how to fish La Jolla. So if that sounds interesting to you and you want to learn along with me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you watch this video next. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the water. Woo!